Welcome back to the kit room. I thought I would just show you, oh yeah, that's a lot of liquid. Okay, so we've got a dehumidifier working in that corner of the room, and it has literally filled up overnight. Now, what I'm going to do in this video is, to a degree, show you around in here, but also go through what I took and, you know, how it fared on the trip with Chris Townsend. So there's a little bit more drying to do in here, but this is the MLD Exodus Cuban fiber pack, and I've been using this now for, I don't know, a couple of years. It's slowly starting to lose its waterproofness because Cuban fiber does, after a little while, you know, it keeps its strength. So I think from a strength point of view, from an Arnie point of view, I think it'll stay good and strong for quite a while yet. But it does slowly lose its waterproofness. So what I'm tending to do now is to either make sure things are packed in separate packs, waterproof packs, which I always did anyway, or I'm using a liner with it just to give an extra level of protection, and I find that helpful. So that's the pack. Now I'm trying to sort out in here, and what I've done is my packs, my MLD packs, I've kind of are hung up here. They need sorting, and then some other packs I've put up over there, and again they kind of need a bit of sorting, you know, as well. Some shelters I've got down here, and then I've put more shelters here. I'll go through all of this, you know, in a minute, and we'll have a look around, you know, around the other side as well. I can't quite tell whether the cricket has fully dried out. It probably should have done, given how much water that dehumidifier has collected. No, it's still a little bit damp at the bottom where it had been on the ground, so I can't put that away yet. But what I'm just going to do, just temporary, just so I can move, is just fold it and just, you know, chuck it on the ground for now, and then we'll cross that bridge later. This mat, this is the Thermarest Z Lite. I took that with me. I like to use that. That did very well. I took this MLD single ground sheet. Now MLD make a slightly wider ground sheet now. I think they've added about 4 inches. Ron, you should have added about 6. They've added about 4 inches to it, which I think will be a very welcome 4 inches extra width, or however much they've done. It's basically wide enough. This one, like I said, the new version is wider, and it's basically wide enough for your, you know, for your bed, you know, with a little bit of flappy bit each side for your flaps each side. So that would definitely be a good thing when they add, you know, a little bit of width to the ground sheet. But the ground sheet did very, very well. And of course people are going to be saying, oh, but he doesn't use footprints, yet he took this. Yes, I did take this. It was about 50 grams or something like that. I didn't use it as a footprint. I basically used it to go under this because this is the full length of the mat, and a tiny bit, but not very much. This is shorter than the ground sheet, but clearly, you know, a lot wider. So I put this on the ground first, although actually I didn't. I put this foam mat on the ground first, which I also need to dry out. So I put that foam mat down first. I'm very much a believer in foam mats. I put the foam mat down first, then I put this down to give extra width, because I did not use an inner. I use an inner in the summer months, but I don't bother with an inner, you know, outside of bug season. And because I was using a narrow ground sheet, that's why I put this under the ground sheet, so my sleeping bag wouldn't be going directly on the ground. So this also needs a little bit more drying out. That's still not completely dry either yet. So I took my Thermarest, this is the Thermarest X Lite, isn't it? Neo X Lite. So I took the Thermarest X Lite, and this did very well. So far no punctures or problems with that, so I can certainly recommend the, you know, I can certainly recommend the, you know, the X Lite. And this new version does seem to be quieter than the old one, although frankly I never had a problem with the old one anyway. I did buy, when I was in Scotland, a fire pot. I will try that sometime soon, but I've not tried it yet, so that's on the to-do list. Maps, and this is also something I need to dry out because I've not tried this. I like to use a Harvey's map. They tend to be more focused at walkers, runners, and that type of thing. So I tend to prefer theirs to ordnance surveys. I just think they're, for me anyway, easier to read. Although I have to admit, I left most of that to Chris rather shamefully, but he kind of knows what he's doing. So, but I took the map anyway because I wanted to make sure, you know, that I was covered. This very much needs drying. This is my MLD kilt, and of course, you know, I take that because it's just so ridiculously light. I take that pretty much every single trip, and I can either wrap it around me, which I did on a couple of occasions, rather than waterproof trousers. It kind of helps, and it did on this occasion keep my trousers dry because my jacket went long enough. And my jacket and my trousers, they're in the machine just freshening up. This is my pack liner. It's an MLD Cuban fibre, like a very big stuff sack type of thing. And then basically, oh, and then over here, I took my, this is the PhD quilt. So this is a this is a 0 degree Icelandic quilt. I went large or wide, not large, I went wide. To be fair, I probably would have been just as well off with regular, because wide is really quite wide. So if you're, you know, a relatively slight person like me, then regular probably will be fine actually, because there's loads, you know, given how much room there is in this PhD Icelandic bag or quilt. I think that regular will be plenty. But if you want to use it as an over a sleeping bag type of thing, then maybe wide, you know, would be useful. So that's that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what I've got up. Actually, okay, let's just show you what we got up here. So I've got all my mats up there, so when they're dry they go there. All my Cuban fibre is stored in these loose stuff sacks up there, and then there's a couple of Hillebergs there, and my trail star that got damaged is there, which I'm going to at some point send back to Ron. This is a box of cord and other bits and bobs. That's a box of basically bits and bobs. That's a box of stuff sacks that aren't Cuban fibre or MLD buckets and things. That's a box of pegs, and I think there's some crampons in there. That's a box of stuff sacks and net stuff sacks and such like. That's a box of stoves and cooking stuff. That's a box of bottles and such like, platypus and water containers and such like in there, and then gas and other fuely bits and bobs in that one. So, you know, if you're kind of interested, maybe we can go through individual ones one day. And then this box here, this has kind of stuff that I might want on a trip by trip basis. So this is kind of the box where I might just need to have a look in here more than all of the others, unless I specifically think, okay, this trip I want to take that and I want to take that, which I wouldn't normally take. But this box here has stuff that I would potentially take every trip. So you kind of, not everything is going to go in that box clearly, but there's stuff in there that I might want each trip. This is my Cuban fibre stuff box, as it were. That's my gloves and hats stuff box thing. First aid and repair kit stuff in there, and then I mentioned that's that stuff there. And then over here, that's empty at the moment. That's soup and such like in there. That's expedition meals and obviously food that I've prepared, or some. I've eaten most of mine, so that's that in there. Snack bars in there to grab. That one is batteries, really. That's just home storage. Maps down in that one, and that's not all the maps. That's hats and there's more winter stuff in there and gaiters. And then this one is camera stuff, which I might go through one day, and more maps down there. So I've got a lot of maps. All right, so this is my peg bag. That was all the pegs that I used, and I had a mixture of pegs. That's the clips that go with the sleeping bag or the quilt. That's my Paramo hat that I use, Superfeet I use. They've been taken out and dried. Batteries for GoPro. That's my power pack. So I took, that's about a kilogram of power in there. There's 2 power packs, leads, and in fact a third power pack. This time I didn't use as much power as I thought I would, but I quite often seem to get through a lot of power, especially when I'm camping by myself. So I always take plenty, plenty of power. Very lightweight MLD event waterproof mitts, which I used at the end. Bladders. This is basically just stuff sacks here, which I used. I didn't eat those bread things. It's just I only took 1 compass. Some snacks that I didn't eat. This meal, I didn't eat that. That's a cottage pie, Expedition Foods cottage pie. So I'll probably have that on the next trip. That's my glasses. They probably need to come out actually because that got wet there. Snacks I didn't eat. I took these cord things here because I thought I'd attach them to the ground sheet and then to the pegs, but in the end I used just pegs and just pegged the ground sheet out. It was just easier this trip with the ground and the terrain. Oh, and then that reminds me, and then I've got to contact Josh and query that, so that I need to remember. So my MLD quilt liner, I didn't need it, but it's so light I always take it. We were planning on a 5th night, but due to partly weather, partly circumstances, mainly weather really, we came back. We did 4 nights, so we had, and that's another reason why there's a bit of food left, because we had 4 nights, not 5. That's my cloth. So that's the snacks that were left there, bearing in mind that we didn't have the 5th night, 6th day. So all of that's left. Surprisingly, quite a bit of tea and what have you left, but we were walking and out and about quite a lot. So toilet paper. I didn't do my business as much as I probably should have done, and I think that disturbed my sleep a little bit. Sealskin socks, which I wore a couple of times, you know, in camp. So when my socks were very, very wet, I took them off, put these on, and then put my shoes on so I could walk around and have dry feet. I had that beanie, nighttime socks, which are basically smart wool, merino socks for nighttime, icebreaker leggings for nighttime. I like to have, I like to wear leggings at night. And then I took 1, 2 and a third light pair of gloves. I didn't use any of the gloves, but it was starting to get cool, and I took a buff, but I didn't need that either. And then I think the only other thing that I had was, as I say, waterproof trousers, which are in the wash, Gore-Tex over trousers, and a mountain equipment jacket. The jacket kept me dry. For some reason, the waterproof trousers, they had, you know, a little bit of and my backside got a little bit damp. I don't know why. I'll just show you around a bit more here. That's just a whole load of camera bags, not with camera stuff in it. I just use it as storage up there. I can just sort that out one day. And then I've got waterproofs there, insulated jackets here. Some of these older PhD are a size small, and they're probably a bit small for me now, so I probably probably going to have to maybe sell some of those on at some point. This was the lightweight jacket that I wore in camp really. Worked fine. Need to wear it more to see, you know, what it's really like. I didn't take a fleece on this occasion, and that's my wind shirt, you know, there, and I just hang that there while I'm just drying stuff. And this is my sleeping bags and quilts, and then obviously I've got to find room for that one now, because that's a new addition. So that's a quick-ish 20 odd minutes, a quick-ish look around, you know, what we took on this trip. I brought Lass's pack, and that was mainly for food. I did put a couple of GoPro bits in it. They don't weigh anything, and her collar for GoPro. We just didn't really have the time, you know, to use it, and often I left it behind because 2 days, you know, we stayed in camp, so I didn't put it on her when it wasn't needed. So, but I've kind of got this GoPro attachment here, which, you know, I might try at some point. So I hope you enjoyed this little look around my Tony's kit room again. It's been a few years since we've been in here. Anyway, I will see you in the next video. Any questions, comments below. Don't forget to like, subscribe, the usual thing. And I'll see you in the next video. Thanks very much.